Hey guys, welcome back to another What If here. Today we are doing What If Asta had Anti-Magic Early Part 2. And sorry for the kind of short video, guys. Well, short What If, not video, but What If. And the reason why, if you haven't gotten to the community tab on my channel page, yeah, the reason why is because my, computer decided to, most of my CPU decided to not want to work with the graphics card no more, so it decided to corrupt itself in telling me that it didn't want to work. So I had to reinstall Windows from scratch. Lucky enough, I found the disk, which also had my Windows activation key on it, so that was quite handy. Yeah, and yeah, so I'm gonna end up getting a new graphics card. Hopefully it will come Wednesday, possibly. Either I think it'll I'm not really sure. I think the fastest delivery, if I look at it, I think it. Oh no, not Wednesday. So I could be looking at say, let's say, so 11th. So the 11th, which is Thursday, could be Thursday or Friday and the latest it would come would be the 15th, which is Monday. So yeah, I'd hope it would come as soon as possible, because the sooner the better, so then I can actually give you guys the longer what ifs that views I hope which are around generally an hour long. So the average is around 40 to 50 minutes long, but yeah, I'm trying to crank out longer videos. And also with a new graphics card, I'll probably also be switching my computer back to my old CPU and motherboard, which is, yeah, just because if the CPU had an argument with one graphics card, it's probably going to have an argument with another one. So yeah, anyway, with a rant which is useless for you guys, yeah, let's get into this what if. So if you don't know where we left off, if you want to know do I need to watch the last part? Yeah, because it will explain some stuff that will just be mentioned throughout the what if series in general. So yeah, but pretty much we left off with Asta and racing towards the clover city, or wherever it was held, the main place where the people, or where people who want to become magic knights go. And is of course using his rune magic, and Asta is flying on his sword. So yeah, they would of course reach around, I think I said, an hour or two early in the last part. So yeah, they would still arrive there around that time, so they would have a good hour to look around. They wouldn't really run into anyone because, they don't know anyone. They're from, they're from quite far away, or you could say the original capital where it used to be, and yeah, where it used to be, and yeah, and so tours would go by as they've as they would be going looking at shops and that, and just exploring where they could possibly one day be in charge of, the entire Clover Kingdom they'd be in charge of, kind of. Well, yeah, I'm pretty sure the king in Clover Kingdom is just this is what I thought of, which is more or less not. He's more so just someone the king who people think he's important, where he's not. He's just a head, where the actual magic knight seems the one that actually runs the country. yeah. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So they would of course get that. They would, they would show them the books and and Levi goes, Asta, don't forget, to keep your 5-leaf grimoire hidden. You don't want anyone really seeing that, because it could create an uproar if anyone sees the fact that you've got 2 grimoires. It can do quite the bad damage. So, and in general, even if they see you, and especially because your main grimoire is a 5-leaf grimoire, you don't exactly want to show anyone that, so you want to keep that one hidden. As it's like, I know, Liebe, you worry too much. It's like, well, someone has to worry about you, as well. Yeah, we are family after all. And he's like, well, yeah, we are family, but I think maybe you can tone down the worry a bit. Because don't forget, once I become a magic knight, I'll tell whoever if he seems trustworthy enough, then I'll tell the captain of the squad the fact that I've got 2 grimoires and actually show him. So he was like, well, that's up to you. As the government, no, Liebe, that's up to us. As yes, the 4-leaf is of course turned to my magic. The 5-leaf is turned to our magic, meaning mine and yours combined. Which just means that we both have access to the 5-leaf grimoire. I may only be a half devil, which I don't know. As if our captain is trustworthy enough, then I may tell him the fact that I could possibly be a half demon. Half devil, but I'm probably gonna keep that quiet for now. He's just Astis is talking to his head, to Liebe, well, they've already done the contract, which is in the last part, so yeah. And it's like, well, yeah, you have a point there, I guess. Anyway, it's your turn to register. And I still, go, here's my book, because it's like, no. He just thinks, no. Another, not royal. What's the word? That royalty? I can't remember. Hang on, guys. I'm gonna look it up right now. They never really said nothing about that, so never mind that. As he just gone more in awe that they're seeing a 4-leaf grimoire as they're pretty rare. Yeah. Well, because the fact that he said, Harsh Village and 4-leaf clover, they probably also know that the only 4-leaf clover in Harsh is the first Wizard King's one, which is, there's 2 then, as the one that Asta's got, not Asta, the one that Yuno's got, and the one that the Wizard King is holding on the head of the beast that he's slain. Yeah. And of course he is surprised that 2 kids in you'd be surprised that 2 boys from a relatively unknown village have got 2 4-leaf, both got a 4-leaf grimoire. So only nobles, only nobles who have got a 3-leaf grimoire, gonna pick a fight on them. As most people there would, hear the person, disappear, or just, yeah, they'd just be surprised to find that two people from the same village have got a 4-leaf clover. So yeah, of course they'd enter and they'd be kind of like the birds as of course as well, yeah, as you know, well, doesn't get any, as Asta just gets them all, plus because of his anti-magic. Mind you, he's not really using it at the moment, so he's just getting like all the anti-birds on him. And of course, you know, damn it, I forgot her name. What's her name? Hang on. Yes, Nero or Sacre would, you know, keep an eye on him, as of course, you know, she has been, and, you know, yeah, I'm pretty sure she, well, yeah, I said about it in the last part. Yeah, and obviously she would just, well, yeah, she'd stay around Asta, as of course Asta knows at least one particular bird that stays around him. And of course she's even seen Asta go into his kind of almost like demonic state, where he's using his brother's power, or Leroy's power, his like brother, well, adopted brother, as his mum did adopt him, which I did talk about in the last part. Anyway, so yeah, and well, yeah, of course Asta would just be, well, yeah, and of course, and when you'd go, like, of course there'd be 90 birds even around him, even around there. Maybe not many, maybe maybe the occasional 2 to 3, but like it's rare. Well, yeah, rare for them to, you know, go around there because of, no, I don't know, they just really aren't there. And well, yeah, of course, but he knows there's always one that follows him, or even just sits on his head and doesn't really care, even as he like enters his, like when his brother's kind of like transformed, well, his kind of like demonic state, where she of course knows, like, you know, can feel the demonic energy coming from him, but because he like she notes that it's like almost feels like it's coming from like the blade, and of course the blade is sealed inside of, you know, the 5-leaf clover. Or at least that's where it's primarily kept. Of course, you know, he can't really use his brother's power unless the sword goes into the 5-leaf. It can go into the 5 and 4-leaf because they're both like anti-magic grimoires. They both have the attribute of anti-magic, where the 4-leaf is pure anti-magic, the 5-leaf is like half anti-magic and half unknown magic for now. And yeah, and of course Asta will, you know, like, he'll be, oh yeah, you just, of course, you know, well, yeah, you'd walk into the arena as, or like, pretty much all the antibiotics flock to him, as he's just like, why does this always happen to me? And he's just running about, and, you know, it's just like, well, at least, you know, he's like, at least his, like, pet bird seems to be staying around me, as, like, the only one that, you know, has got is Nero, as like she doesn't want to be hit by Asta, and of course Nero's pretty much like their pet at this point, and as, well, yeah, she of course made her like presence known quite a while ago back in Hart's village when they were still quite young, so Asta kind of just, you know, accepted the bird as his pet, as it always seemed to just be around him. So he's like, yeah, what's the harm in like taking care of a single bird? So yeah, because little did he know it was actually human that was transformed into a bird. So yeah, But yeah, and Asta would after accidentally then running into the Black Bulls captain, Yami. Zami would turn around and pick up the boy's head and start squishing it as Asta goes, "Oh, my head," he kind of says what he says and kind of, "Oh, my head's gonna blow." Yeah. And Yami kind of notices the fact that the boy's got two, grimoire, holsters, I guess you'd say. As just two places where two grimoires could possibly go. As one's currently empty, and of course the other one's, got his 4-leaf grimoire. As, of course, it's like, interesting, this boy seems to be sucking my power naturally. But I don't sense any magic from him. Could he have anti-magic? No, that's not possible. It's because of all the birds flying around him. Whatever. I'll just have to see what this boy is capable of doing. I can't remember his name, but the person who can pretty much teleport goes, Yami, sir, we're gonna be late if we don't go now. He's like, fine, you got lucky, kid. As he drops Asta as he walks around. Oh yeah, of course. People then, that heard that Asta's, got a 4-leaf wonder, why has he got so many anti-birds, around him? If he's got a 4-leaf grimoire, why there's so many, anti-birds? And then one person kind of thinks that maybe he's just able to hide his, magic aura so well that even the anti-birds are confused by it. Well, technically not wrong. Well, in fact, that if he shows off too much anti-magic, in the vicinity, no birds will want to go by him because he's yanking the mana just out of the air, and everyone around him would quickly realise they can't use magic. Yeah, or they would feel their magic just seeping away from them, they can't. Well, yeah, they'll just feel it draining from them. So, yeah. Of course, as then, everyone arrives, as then all the night captains come in one by one, and if they do have an introduction, then they say what they said in canon. I don't think they do. But, yeah. Or I think they did, but it was by the kind of the Golden Dawn's leader. He kind of introduced all the captains, I think. Yeah. Of course, being closest to the Black Bulls captain, but doesn't let anyone know that. Yeah. And and of course, they're of course, trees would, come down to show kind of Bruno's ass is just damn it, why did it have to be that? I can't fly with a broom, I can fly with my sword, but not the broom. As everyone else just, takes the skies, he's just holding it between his legs, la 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 la, because he just knows he's got no magic affinity, because his magic is anti-magic. Then he kind of thinks maybe, but he's like, well, his leader's like, well, it's by shot, it's pretty much what you're doing with the sword, so yeah, it's just, you may want to be careful, as, you may end up attacking everyone as just okay, let's just give it a shot, as he does, and nothing happens, just that the red itself kind of just vanishes from his hands. So it's just I guess, a tree made out of, like, magic, or a broom made out of magic is, expected to kind of vanish when in the vicinity of anti-magic. It was like, well, it was worth a shot. I was just like, yeah, it was, but yeah, and some cats kind of noticed that it kind of just vanished from him. So like teleportation magic? No, it just straight up. Like, I wonder. And Jam is like, depending on how he is doing, like the fight proportion, the fighting part, which is the second one. I think the second and then the other one. Yeah, it's like, if depending on how he does, I may take him, as he seems to be quite a good person. He can, I think he's got some anti-magic, but I'm not going to let the other magic captains know. And the person beside him is like, that's odd. It vanished. Could he be a... Yummy, do you think he's a teleportation user? He's like, no, he had no magic whatsoever. It's like, none, but it's like, don't tell anyone, but I felt my magic actually going into him like it was being a sword being sucked away from me. And I was just like, what do you think he's got? Yeah, I think he's got anti-magic. That, he'd be incredibly handy to have if he has got anti-magic, but we just have to wait and see. As he nods. And of course, Asta, Asta, if no one's gonna, fight me, I guess we'll just have to fight one another. And he's like, what? And, me lose to you? It's like, I know I'm, possibly, better than you at magic, but, you've got anti-magic. That's a very, huge disadvantage for me. Plus, I've only been training for a good a year to half a year. You've been training since you were, since you was little, so you've got a huge benefit. You've got the much more benefactors. Don't forget, your sword can send my magic back. Well, your sword can, send magic at me. Either cut the magic in half, nullifying it, or bouncing it back. Plus, you can, nullify any magic I shoot at you anyway. So, yeah, if it comes down to it, then I guess we'd have to. But I hope, to maybe go against, a noble to show them that I'm not a pushover, and you should go against a noble too, and to show the fact that us who aren't nobles can be just as strong or even stronger than them. Yes, as well, yeah, it was just plan just in case that nobody does want to fight us. As a noble kind of as a noble goes up to Asta and goes, let's fight now, shall we? You don't deserve that 4-leaf grimoire there. And of course, it's just in his head, that's a very bad move to get him angry. The more angrier he gets, the more deadlier it becomes. Get him too angry and now you'll be able to use that magic in the vicinity. Yeah. And, Asta's kind of already getting angry, so of course, he goes in as they're prepare for the next match, as Asta and the kind of unknown noble, would walk up and who'd do some Um, no, well, I'm just trying to think, because Noel wouldn't really be that, as like Noel has got a default pass to black balls pretty much. But yeah, and well, yeah, but of course she kind of sees Asta, and she's kind of like, he doesn't deserve it. But once she kind of, like, when he pulls out his like sword, and Asta starts really channeling his anti-magic, his anger also, because he's been kind of making fun of and that, which he doesn't enjoy, obviously. But and so he, she can kind of feel her magic like disappearing. It's just like, I guess I guess I should kind of walk all the way to the edge of the arena so that I don't get drained too much. So he starts walking to the farthest point. Yeah. As everyone else starts, kind of feeling like their magic is getting low, slowly getting drained, even the knight captains. And he's like, see, I told you, he must have some type of anti-magic, and that person, that noble that making him mad, didn't do nothing, for favour, like nothing in his favour. In fact, it probably made it even worse. As Asta kind of opens his eyes, and all the person just feels is just, just death. He's staring at the monster. Yeah. And so he kind of just throws, random, I'd say, random mid-level magic at him, as Ash is just either with his hand absorbing it, or just the fact that he's releasing anti-magic in in the kind of vicinity that it's just either being sucked away or Ash just absorbing it by his hand. So he kind of gets, fed up, so he just decides to turn his sword around and just bat one of them back at the person, as he kind of gets hit, as just like, what, how could your sword do something, how can you hit my spell back at me, that's impossible. As then he, 1 second sees Asta, over there, and the next minute, he doesn't see Asta, as Asta, of course, is on top of him, as the sword is just millimeters away from kind of into the person, as it knocked him out. And as the person's as Asta is declared the winner, and he kind of goes back and it's like, well, I think you just made my match slightly easier to a lot of users. I was just like, what do you mean? It's like, well, thanks to your kind of releasing anti-magic, most people have either lost been drained of all their magic, or have been drained of a good portion of their magic. So my fight's going to be quite a bit easier depending on whoever decides to fight me. And of course a couple rounds would go, as then another noble, the same noble would declare in canon that declared the fight on, as and the person fights, and is declared the winner. And well, yeah, and of course some more fights and that, and then the Golden Donsman will go, well, that seems to be all the fights for today. Well, yeah, that seems to be all the rounds. Now it'll be to the knight captains to choose who will be going on, being accepted to the team. If you get no votes, you'll best luck next year. Yeah. because, you know, like, the people who, of course, failed, you know, like, were, like, left, and, yeah. And, of course, Asta's like, oh, you know, who am I going to be with? And, well, yeah, so when it goes to, of course, you know, of course, gets all hands up as he goes with the Golden Dons, and, like, and the, like, Golden Don captain kind of could, like, you know that his power's being drained, and he kind of thinks that, could it be the fact that, you know, this boy has some type of, like nullification type magic, but it's like, but his grimoire, like, you know, it had a sword in it. It's like, no, I won't put my hand up for him because there's just too many unknowns about him. And of course, Yami is like, you know, like, when, of course, Asta steps up, you know, Yami would put his hand up straight away instead of kind of, like, asking Asta a question. He would put his hand up as Asta would go. And, well, being, like, the only person, Asta, of course, would choose the black balls. And Yami's like, seems like nobody really noticed that the boy's potential. And, like, the like, teleportation guy, it's like, well, it seems like it's like to have someone who can nullify any and all types of magic. That's something to want and to be afraid of, especially, you know, just releasing what I could sense like a little bit of killing intent could release that much. Like, you know, and he could release that much anti-magic in this vicinity. As, like, most of the fights, you know, were kind of, like, well, yeah, like, they kind of allowed for, like, an hour or two break after that fight, as they, you know, as the, like, the next fight after that, none of them could use their magic, as they're like, I can't use my magic, seems to be after that boy, so they allowed, like, all the participants to have a hour to 2 hour break to, like, recap on their, like, magic power. So, yeah. And, yeah, of course, then, you know, like, everyone kind of goes into up until point where Yami's like, come on then, you know, time to go. As that's just like, well, there's one thing I want to tell you first, Captain. It's like, well, and that's just like, well, and he's like, yeah, that's just like, well, I guess I can't really say it out in public. We'd have to go somewhere, like, private, just like two of us. We could say top secret, as nobody knows about this. And he's like, oh, you know, you're intriguing me now. It's like, well, yeah. It's like, as much as I want to tell you know, maybe everyone else in the Black Balls, first I want to tell you, and then if you kind of deem it, like, you know, okay to tell everyone else, then everyone else will find out. As he kind of go, you know, to sensible as, you know, like, they go to, yeah, they'd go to the Black Balls, as it's like, you know, you go inside and tell them that I'm back. I'm gonna go with this kid into the forest, like, you know, to have a private chat with him to see what this thing is he's talking about. Yeah, and the person's like, okay, Yami. Yeah, Captain Yami, as he goes, and as kind of everyone's like, yes, Yami's back. And it's like, and he's got like a new member as well. As they're kind of like excited to, you know, see the boy. And yeah, and of course Yami's just like, so what did you know? This seems to be far enough. So what do you want to talk to me about that? It's like, you know, you can't tell or show anyone else. It's like, and that's just like, well, I've got two grimoires, as, you know, it's like, you know, like, as he's like, well, it doesn't seem like it, you know, you've got two grimoire hosters, but that's about it. As Asta will go, how you see in a second, as the 4-leaf would float up, as then kind of out of nowhere, like, Yami's kind of danger sense triggers, as he like narrowly dodges a flying like 5-leaf grimoire flying like pretty fast to well, no, it wouldn't fly, it would just like pop like right next to Asta, like teleport itself to Asta. And he would pull Asta's like, see, I've got 2 grimoires. And Yami's like, oh, you have? And he's like, well, this one here you've seen, it's a 4-leaf, this one is a 5-leaf grimoire. And he would kind of explain that the fact that, you know, his like mum kind of gave it to him for like a birthday gift, and that he also like it also holds his like adopted brother that's a demon that didn't have magic, and then like his mum sealed him inside after, and then his mum died, and like her magic plus like his kind of brother being in the book created like anti-magic, so now that his brother can use anti-magic, and after training like with him and like after training with his brother using the anti-magic, he somehow started producing it, and thus that's how he got 2 grimoires, as one kind of like, you know, like could feel the anti-magic and decided to fly to him to, you know, like give him kind of access it. And he also like says that he could be like a half demon, because, you know, of the fact that, you know, he can use the 5-leaf grimoire, as, you know, like his mum seemed very like, you know, like very certain that he could use the 5-leaf grimoire, and if not, you know, he may get, you know, might see if Leeway could use it or that. And Yami's kind of like, well, that's interesting. And he'd go, that was quite interesting. Like all the black, you know, like just one thing to say, Asta, the Black Pools are a crazy place. There's, to say the least, you'd fit in just fine. You know, yeah, they may kind of like you know, geek out a bit, like, you know, the fact that you've got 2 grimoires, but they're really not gonna care the fact that, you know, you're a half demon and your brother's like, and, you know, like your adopted brother is a like demon. Yeah, they're not gonna care. Those, you know, like just like, you know, when you're gonna meet them, you know, and you go on missions, like, you know, with them, it's going to be quite clear after a while. It's like, but there is someone that, you know, I know in like my mum's, I think she's like a half dwarf, half human, and like she can transform into her like dwarf state and get different magic. So it's like, well, and he'd go, well, how do you, like, you know, you seem quite confident also that you're half demon, as Asta would, like, you know, as, you know, it's like, oh, what are you going to do with that sword? As Asta would put it into the, it's like, well, the sword originally belonged into the like black one, the 5-leaf, my original, my first and original grimoire, as he would put it into the grimoire, and then of course it'd go and then it'd pop back out, being, you know, glowing a crimson red and being all black, as, you know, it's like, oh, so this is the like original form of it. And I was just like, well, I'm not sure this is what it kind of, this is the form that, you know, it showed to me when when the book first connected with me. And yeah, and, you know, as you can see that, you know, it says like magic type, anti-magic, and magic type like unknown, like underneath that. So that's, yeah. And plus, you know, he kind of breathes in and breathes out as he lets the flow of anti-magic from his like from Libe's brothers, and like it's like, what are you doing, Asta? Moan at you to go, what are you doing? As it's just like, well, I'm just letting the anti-magic flow through me. My brother's anti-magic, or the demonic. He's a two-horned devil, and well, there'd be two horns each on my face, but yeah. Like too, because like Yami would obviously know, as he's like, look at the horn on my head. It's like, what horn on your head? As then out of nowhere, you're like black all of a sudden, like he's like like a portion of his face is black, and like his, I think, arm also goes black. Yeah, his arm goes black in that. And Yami can feel the anti-magic radiating off of him as he sees there's two horns. It says the one that's bending towards you is like my brother's horn, because like we've got a contract and I'm using his magic at the moment, so yeah. And then the one on top, we believe, is my horn, my one, but we don't exactly know how to transform into my I guess demonic or demon form. As he's like, interesting. He thinks to himself, interesting. And everyone can kind of sense, like a demon nearby, as they're like, what's this power, as some of them also feeling drained and drained of magic. They can feel that magic being drained, as it's like, you may want to and as it's like, oh right, as he lets his power, as he lets Libe's power reside back into the sword, as he puts the sword back into the 5-leaf grimoire, and he puts the books back in the holder where they belong. And as Yami would go, as Asta and Yami would go, and and Yami would, as they would approach the Black Bull's hideout after having their talk, and that's where I'm going to end it. This is going to be a pain to render, but oh well. Yeah. Anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed it, in the next part, which may be out next week or the week after, probably the week after, as yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure when the next part will be out. It depends. Yeah, it depends on the polls and that, but yeah. If you guys have enjoyed this, even though it's so much, and want to see more just like this, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next What If or video. And hey, good